3, 2, 1. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash. This is Stan the Man. There's Forky on the screen. You're watching. You're like, what am I looking at? Well, you're actually looking at an X-Men comic. This is X-Men number 3. The much highly anticipated new series. Probably one of the most exciting new comics, as far as anticipation goes, in a long, long time. Jonathan Hickman knocked it out of the park with the stellar House of X and Powers of 10 series, and even got me, who was completely cynical and jaded and just insistence on this was going to be trash and all sorts of stuff. And I was down on the whole idea that they had 2 different miniseries, and he made it all work and it made sense. And I was like, wow. So I was really looking forward, even though I in the back of my mind, I was like, Dawn of X is going to suck because you've got names like Teenie Howard attached to it, Gary Duggan, or is it Jerry Duggan? I don't know. One of you guys tell me. I can't even remember all the bad names that are attached. I know Vita Ayala is going to get a book in the future. It's just some of the Leah Williams. It's just like, oh my God. You just like take all the bottom rung. Just give Mags Visaggio a book too while you're at it. Maybe she can write Uncanny X. But anyways, so I was like, no matter. Even back in the heyday of X-Men, where I call the golden age of X-Men, which was the Chris Claremont era, I didn't really read the spin-off books. I wasn't a big New Mutants fan. I did get into X-Force when it came out because it was kind of exciting. Back in those days, number ones were a big deal. You didn't get number ones all the time. So when New Mutants kind of canceled and became X-Force, it was like, oh, wow. When Jim Lee launched, the second X-Men book, that was like the first time there was 2 series of X-Men. It was like, wow. So those things were kind of exciting because, they happen like once in a generation. Now it's just every few months there's rebooting, so it's no big deal. But anyways, fast forward to today. I'm a big snob when it comes to X-Men. I have high expectations, very high expectations. I don't care to read mediocre X-Men. And so I read that House of X, Powers of X, and I was like, you know what? I don't need these other books to be good, just like I didn't need before. Chris Claremont's X-Men was enough to satisfy me. And occasionally I would dabble in X Factor or some Mutants when they do crossover books or whatever, but they didn't. It's not that they were bad books. I just was a big X-Men fan. Let's put it that way. So the analogy kind of carries forward. I was like, as long as just Hickman's X-Men book is fine, the rest can be complete gutter trash, and I won't care. So is Hickman's X-Men? Is it enough? Is it good? So we open up the Savage Land, Krakoan Harvest Center, Field 8. That's weird. Pop, 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 pop. Yeah, what's wrong with the gate? Pop, zern. Is this Kansas? Doesn't look much like Kansas, and I would know. I got into trouble in Kansas once. No, this isn't Kansas. This is Krakoa. You're in the Savage Land. We grow flowers here. Hey, I don't recognize you guys. You mutants new to the island? New? Yes. Mutant? Bad news on that boulevard, kids. Squirt, 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 squirt. What? Why? Why? Isn't that obvious, dear? We just love the S word out of flowers. And I didn't abbreviate that. The dialogue is literally says, we love the S word out of flowers. So we go forward. Issue 3, the growth mindset. Mutants around the world are flocking to the island nation of Krakoa. Yada, yada, yada. Same spiel. We have to dedicate a whole white page. Every issue, 6 issues, twice a month, to say this. It's getting rather aggravating. So this is X-Men. This is who's going to appear in this issue of X-Men. Every month is a different story. These X-Men titles. So the X-Men book itself is not a. It's not a saga like the actual original X-Men. Chris Claremont's X-Men broke new ground in the world of comics. It may not have been the first comic that did a saga storytelling, but it was the biggest. It was the one that really made the name, and it grabbed everyone's attention. Previous to that, most every single comic, it was episodic. You could pick up an issue, you get a story, the end. Or you might get a little cliffhanger, carry over, you get a couple issues for the story, but that was it. Once that story arc was over, you rinse and repeat. It was very much like television used to be. X-Men was the whole, we're just going to tell this long, never-ending saga of these characters. And I think that was a big part of what made it so attractive. You fast forward to today, that sort of storytelling is in vogue. TV is completely going that route practically. You're starting to see the old school episodic television go the way of the ghost. And everything's all about big seasonal stories, or even, like Game of Thrones, where it's 8 seasons, one gigantic story. For good or ill, whether you like those or not, that's not the point. X-Men is going the reverse. Apparently, Jonathan Hickman said, we don't want to do that anymore. We want to make X-Men not like X-Men anymore. And it's just unrelated, one-off short stories. I don't like that. That's not why I'm a fan of X-Men. Why do you want to make a thing not the thing that it is? I don't understand why people need to change things. If you don't love and you don't want to embrace the thing that it is, then just go do something else. But Hickman was apparently, I have this dream of doing X-Men. So here's the 2-page spread devoted to the credits. There's 3 white pages now. 3 pages, devoted to nothing. So we go to the Quiet Council, and all right, we're here. What's going wrong now? Something truly unexpected. Please have a seat. So we see Scott walks up to Jean. Hey, I know that look. You all right? I smell smoke. Should I assume fire? Yes, we're going to send you out. We can't access the Savage Land. Something's wrong with Krakoa. Well, then, it's a good thing I was trained in righting wrongs. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. And that part, I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is Cyclops' team leader guy. He's like, I'm a pro. I'm going to take care of things. I was kind of liking this part right here until we got to this next part where Emma walks by. Emma, says Jean, nice of you to show up. In with the wind, not a hair out of place. Jean responds, gotta tell you, I love those shoes. Why, thank you, Jean. I would offer to let you borrow them, but I think they're a couple of sizes too small. That's so kind of you, but I'm not big into borrowing things. That's really more of a you kind of thing, isn't it? Ooh, catty. That's my comment. Ha ha ha, I deserve that. Want to get a drink later? Sure, you're paying. I always do. All right, now that we're all here. I would have thought insufferable dialogue like this was beneath Hickman. I was wrong. I read New Mutants #2, and it is one of the worst comics I've read this year. It made me want to stab my eyes out. I hated it so much. I hated it so much. This book is not nearly on that level, but it's got the same. It's just this whole interaction. At first, I was like, okay, the two don't really like each other. Emma stole Scott from Jean, which is stupid. That just should have never happened. That's just bad. That's Marvel. Just treating their characters bad. But then this whole thing, it rubs fans' faces into this whole, like, yeah, you remember when Scott and Jean were a thing? We remember, but now it's with Emma, and now look, we get to watch them be catty, and it was just not pleasant. I was like, I don't care about this. It's not a good story. I don't care about the love triangle. I hate Emma as it is. She's a villain. Scott, every minute Scott's with her, it just demeans Scott's character. And I was like, I thought Jonathan Hickman was coming on, he's going to fix X-Men. I thought he was going to come on and be like, You know the 20 years of trash that Marvel's been doing with X-Men and screwing it up? I'm this big X-Men guy, and I'm this great writer. I'm going to come in, and I'm going to bring it back to greatness. What's this? So they're having the council look, and it looks like Scott's on trial. But whatever. He's staying in the middle. And we get another white page. Krakoa is screaming. Savage Land Gateway non-responsive. And so we get an explanation of why the gates can mess up. And it's like, as most of you know, Krakoa feeds on the psychic energy of mutants. When the island is at maximum growth, blah, 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 current size, da-da-da. So currently Krakoa needs 2 mutants to feed on, not counting Selene and Implate, who also feed on other... And it's just like, so they allow it, and it's just this weird thing going on. It's like, oh, so you have this weird socialist utopia where the island feeds on your population. Okay, cool. Anyways, back to the main part of the story where we see these weird new characters show up. That's the last 2. Not much fighting them. I think they might have been peaceful mutants. They're flower children. All I see is soft, soft, soft. Given that, I would have thought mutants would have had slightly more spirited security. What? No, I don't get social security. I said spirited security, Edith, not social security. So it turns out that these characters are all old ladies. So it's a quartet of old ladies with goo guns. And then it makes some joke about she needs her smokies. And it's like, oh, the doctor said no smokies for you, but I'm chewing the gum. And it's like, God, I don't care. This is so dumb. Oh, look, so it's these old ladies, and now they have to quit their smoking. And one's on Social Security, and then they're arguing. And then the one lady explains how her ex-husband, she actually doesn't get Social Security. She gets her ex-husband's Social Security. So it's all semantics, and then she explains, but the other one's like, yeah, but he left you for a younger woman. And she's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. He died before the divorce papers went over, so I get, it's just like, oh, I don't care. It's dumb. Anyways, then they get to like, oh, time we got to pick some flowers. Meanwhile, the X-Men can't go through that gate because it's been compromised. It won't work. It's causing Krakoa to be all crazy. And for some reason, Sebastian Shaw doesn't know about Gateway, I guess. He's on the quiet count. It doesn't. So they're going to Australia to get to Gateway, which makes sense, except it doesn't make sense because I thought all the mutants are supposed to go to Krakoa. But I guess not Gateway. He just chills out in Australia. But whatever. So then they're talking about, how... Emma makes this comment. 5 minutes into that council meeting, and Jean and Paris and I were ready to crawl out of our skin. Okay, that makes sense. Like Krakoa's in pain or something's wrong. It's causing interference with the psychic connection. I wish we had young Douglas around to translate. Ugh. This is the second X-Men book in a row where they point out how stupid it was to send Doug Ramsey off into space. They already played this off in X-Men number 2, and it was like, oh, you sent Doug, it was stupid. They know, it's like the writers, like, I know it's stupid, so I'm going to have the characters recognize it to sort of obfuscate the fact of how stupid it was, because I'm just sort of, being the target. But it's like, now it's like the second issue in a row, you're doing it again. And now I'm just like, yeah, this was stupid. That should have never happened. And I think that's not good writing, at least on the part. These characters aren't making sense to me. And then what does Scott say? Right again. My fault. Oh. We're going to have to figure something out, or the poor kid's never going to get a vacation again. A vacation? He went on to the other side of the galaxy. It's not like you're like, hey, he's going to go on a surfing trip to Australia, and then you can just get Gateway to send him back at a moment's notice when you need him. No, that would be like a vacation. You may never see Doug Ramsey again. So, anyways, we're going to catch another ride. So it's Gateway, yada, yada. And then I mentioned that Magic's gone, too. They need she's a prime teleporter, very important to the X-Men. She's gone, too. Savage Land. More company. How delightful. We've been invaded by octogenarians. That's unexpected, says Emma in a really bored, dumb expression. Ladies, You've caused a bit of a ruckus, and people are upset. Mind introducing yourselves? We're horticulture. Horticulture? As in whores? No, horticulture. No one wants to hear about all the whoring around Kansas. Hear about all that whoring around Kansas that Augusta did. Dun 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 dun. Shh, boom. Again, it's like the little witty beats that are just thrown in. I don't think the point of X-Men is to have that kind of tone. I like married men taking all their things. It's not my fault sometimes they die in car crashes. Speaking of unsavory women, this one looks like a tart. Uh-huh. She dresses like an S-word with a serious P-word problem. You need to wash yourself, girl. And then, look at this panel. Sebastian Shaw is literally covering his mouth. So, like, what the hell is happening? What is Sebastian? And Scott's just looking away, like, and then Emma's like, oh, how dare, like this is like she's a junior high girl that just got insulted. That this should not affect Emma at all. She responds, I won't fight old women. And she cyclically says, their minds are shielded somehow. So dear, she says to Cyclops, if you could hit these ladies harder than you normally would, it would only make me love you more. That dialogue sucks. But then Sebastian Shaw steps forward and is like the only non-clown in this book so far. Ahem. Actually, if you don't mind, allow me. Good women of horticulture, I am Sebastian Shaw, he goes on to say. And he makes this big, long proposal. This looks like a word salad here on this page, but honestly, it's a very reasonable, thought-out offer to be like, look, we'll give you some of these flowers. I've stolen stuff myself, he says. Like, I'm not going to be this hypocrite, and but you are thieves. You're stealing from us. Can't allow that. But hey, we'll let you walk away with some of these flowers. It's all cool. And in return, you explain how you hijacked our gateways. It's a win-win, blah, blah, blah. And, he's like, look, I'm a carnivore, devourer of both men and women. But fortunately for you ladies, I like my steak a little less seasoned. So why don't we make a deal? What say you? And they're like, oh, it really kind of fit. Like, he was being very diplomatic, but he was being also firm. Like, this is a guy who's not going to take no for an answer, and he's not going to just be this little, purse puppy, like, ooh, And so the response, squirt in the face, Then immediately the tone changes back to this goofball. So Sebastian Shaw is now on the ground. Look at this. And he's getting, and then one of the old ladies says, hit him with the gas, Lily. Already done, Edith. Whatever powers this creep has are neutralized. You hear that? No deal, creep. No deal. And so Sebastian Shaw, the Black King of the Hellfire Club, one of the greatest X-Men villains of all time, sits and takes a beating like Rodney King by 3 elderly women. Look at this. I just want you to take a look at Sebastian Shaw in the fetal position as 3 elderly women beat him. No deal. And they're just kicking him while he's down. Meanwhile, Bzot, please step away from the aristocrat. I know he's an insufferable bore, and normally I'd let you ladies work, but he's our insufferable bore, so we have work to do. This was kind of cool. I was like, oh, hey, Cyclops is stepping up and found his balls again. That's cool. I like this. And then all of a sudden, oof, he gets hit from behind. Apparently, old ladies get the jump on him, but he's not fully taken down. I was like, that would have been totally stupid. He spins around. It's kind of a cool shot here. Knocks the lady down. Are we done now? To which the lady's like, oh, God. Oh, Lord. Oh, sweet Jesus. Scott's like, damn it. Are you okay? My hip. You broke my hip. Okay, hold still and I'll. And I immediately, do you know what's going to happen next? Because I immediately knew what was going to happen next. if you guessed he's going to get squirt in the face with a goo gun, congratulations. You're not a complete moron. Apparently, though, Scott Summers, leader of the X-Men, who's fought everything from alien brood to Terminator-like Sentinels to Magneto to Doctor Doom, Thanos, who else? Apocalypse, Onslaught. I mean, he's fought everyone under the sun. He's helped beat the Avengers. He gets beat. What's the point of showing Scott look like a badass and like, I got things under control, and then just be like, ha, twink, I got the one up on you. Stupid boy. We do water aerobics and yoga 4 days a week at the YMCA. Our instructor's name's Finn, and he's from Sweden and in better shape than you are. Socks. Look at it. Look, just cold clocking Cyclops. Enough. Finally, the White Queen takes charge. Oh, okay, now shit's getting real. Emma Frost doesn't F around. What's wrong with all of you? Well, you are girly. You mutants are screwing up our plan. So now we get a big bunch of exposition about how they're humans, but they don't like humans either. And they're a bunch of botanists and gardeners and whatever. And they discovered that the corporations they were working with are big and greedy evil. Imagine that. The big white, look at this. It's all white guy, big rich white men corporation. And they're corrupt. And these biotech companies were basically making seeds or making plants, seedless plants, but basically hold the world at ransom. Eventually, all the world's plants and everything would just be without plants being able to reseed themselves, right? Normally, they die off. So if you are required to constantly buy new supplies of seeds from this corporation for all plant life, that makes them the most dependent, company in the world. Like, obviously, it's a great plan. Any greedy company would pull it makes sense for an evil company to do something like this. So you're like, okay, these women kind of fought off the men. And it's like, oh, you see the scene where like they apparently murdered them and grew their flowers on their dead bodies. And you're like, oh, okay, so we got some tree-hugging women here that want to say, no, they're exactly as evil as they are. So they just did the same plan. They killed them for having this plan to do this and then said, now we're going to do it. It's like, what? Okay, so they want to control who doesn't. And actually, they wanted to kill 7 billion people, as you can see here. An Earth with 7 fewer billion people on it. At least that was our plan until you mutants showed up with your silly little island. They explain how the Krakoan agricultural system, blah, 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 caused all these problems. So now they're studying these plants. They reverse engineered the gateways so they could take control of them. They needed more plants to do their study. So they did this whole spiel, as you can see on this page. Look at all this text as she explains. And she's like, so we'll work to see what makes Krakoa tick, and we'll either convince you to support our good works or find a way to bend it to our will. And if it can do neither, then we'll find a way to pluck it like the weed it is. You can bet your A word on that. To which Emma Frost just sits here and looks at them as they walk away through the portal. And she looks over at Gateway. Just so you know, Gateway, you were a lot of help. What? Even the dogs are upset. Do you see that? So Krakoa later. Dogs, come on. I always do videos at package delivery time, and the dogs get all upset. Sorry about that noise. I can't really pause exactly what I'm doing, but I'm at the end of the video anyways. If you made it this far, there's only a few of you, I'm sure. So, Krakoa later, we see Emma Frost looking at the council and saying, so, we have a bit of a problem. And then we see a white page. Jesus! Hey! My goodness, are you kidding me, dogs, right now? Let's just listen to dogs bark. This is Ash on Comics. Thanks for putting up with my awesome professional production values here. I think it adds a little bit to the charm. If you have a real problem with it, let me know. If anyone, I'll try to silence it in the future. Anyways, horticulture is this, and we get a white page dedicated to this group. You can pause and read it yourself, but there's this little jokey bit here where it's like, Augusta Brome's best friend with Opal. Opal Vetiver, best friends with Augusta. Lily Lamus thinks she's best friends with Opal, but isn't. Aww. It's just, okay, now coming soon. Here's all the million books you have to read. These are twice monthly. All these books. What's going on? This X-Men. That was X-Men issue number 3. And I've been hearing rumblings and people, in my kind of circles being like, oh, it's the best issue this week. It's the best one so far. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm excited because it took 3 issues for Hoxpox to sort of get off the ground and going. I don't know what people saw in this issue. All I saw was X-Men getting beat up by senior citizens. Literally, one of them's 81 years old. It's one thing in comics, they have this trope where like 90-pound women can like beat up 300-pound Herculean men, no problem. It's just all right. But now apparently 90-pound elderly women who probably, almost need a walker. Like Sebastian Shaw getting beat up by it's a joke. If you're the kind of person that read Heroes in Crisis and were like, oh my God, Harley Quinn, like, she didn't really beat up the Trinity, but she sort of got the one up on the Trinity to escape. And I was like, that's ridiculous. Harley Quinn could never do that. I contend that this is even more ridiculous. But Ash, they squirted goo in their faces and it took away their powers. Okay, so Sebastian Shaw shouldn't need powers. These are just normal old ladies. And then Emma Frost is nigh invincible with her diamond skin. Like, I don't know. And then this scene here with Emma, and it's like the little snicker of Sebastian Shaw, like that's just so dumb. And then I wanted to say something about this too earlier in the book. I'm not a fan. I've been saying this. Lionel Francis Hughes art. Look at this. This is horrendous. They made Emma Frost look. Does she look like she's 60 years old here? Like, I just. Anyways, you've seen it for yourself. You could see the pictures. I don't need to describe to you. You saw how the story goes. If you're in love with it, if you think this is a great story, explain to me what I'm missing. Why? How is my take? Why am I not understanding what everyone else seems to be like? Oh, it's great. This was terrible. I mean, it's not terrible. It's just really mediocre. I could maybe give this 3 stars if the art was good, but I can't stand Lionel Francis Hughes. I think he's a terrible artist, and people go, "Oh no, Lionel Francis Hughes is good art." No, it's awful. Where is it before here in the beginning? I remember seeing the now I forget. I'm gonna sit here and flick pages. Just everything is so wooden. Most of this book is characters just standing around. It's the thing that I blame Bendis for all the time. Like, nothing happens. It's a bunch of characters standing around talking. That's what happened here. A bunch of characters standing around talking. The biggest action is literally this. Sebastian Shaw getting beat on by these old women. I mean, Cyclops fires his eye beam, but ricochets it off this lady's hover chair. That's it. There's nothing. Look, someone got squirt in the face. This is not good comics. I can't give this even 3 stars. I was when I was reading, I was like, oh, this is mediocre. It's just not good. I'm sorry. Anyways, thanks for listening to me. I do want this to be good. I love X-Men. I liked Hickman a lot on House of X, Powers of X. I do think he's probably a good writer. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how much more I can suffer this, though. see my Fallen Angels video, though, because that was the one book I was thinking was going to be the worst, and it's the best. So thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.